There are a bunch of ways I could have started this video on the new Ghais Guevara album. I could have done something like, it's Billy Woods meets Cameron Winter, but I don't know, that might be alienating. I could have talked about how I've been discussing Ghais Guevara with Dissect on the new upcoming Dissect podcast. I'll get to that. Instead, I'm going full clickbait, baby. I'm saying, bump Travis Scott, bump the Jack Boys, whatever that mess is, Jack Boys 2, forget that. If you want that kind of raging rap, you want ratty cool beats, you want music that might make you feel kind of old, but is actually quite good, you don't need Travis Scott anymore. You have more interesting stuff with someone like Ghais Guevara and this new project, which is at the same time totally enrapturing and totally repulsive at the same time. Listen, I'm a contrarian, and you might think that I'm going to come out here and say Jack Boys 2 is actually good, and I'm going to disagree with Fantana. I'm going to disagree with the common wisdom, but I'm not, okay? I may think Peanuts to an Elephant is a great song, but I do not think Jack Boys 2 is any good. But it's more than just a Jack Boys 2 thing, because it's actually like actual messages mixed in with the flossing and the discussion of the drugs and the life and the fame and the women and the hey, all right? Because, listen, what's the problem with Jack Boys 2? There's so many problems with Jack Boys 2. One of the problems with Jack Boys 2, more like Jerk Noise 2, one of the real problems of Jerk Noise 2 is that, there's 26 producers on the album. 26 people went into making that, let's face it, in the words of Jeff Goldblum, as Jeff Goldblum has taught us, and we are bold to say, gigantic pile of shit, right? We had 26 people you know who made this album? Okay, so we have this amazing album that's all from the mind of Ghais Guevara. He only used one producer, okay? And I'm going to put you up on this guy, okay? This is a guy who produces exclusively for Ghais Guevara, as far as I know. He's this conflicted 24, 25-year-old Marxist from Philadelphia. Do you know the name of this producer? It's Ghais Guevara, okay? It's the Bismarck Award. It's one guy doing the entire thing. One guy, one conflicted 24, 25-year-old conflicted Marxist from Philadelphia, from North Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground is where I don't know how much of his days he spent there, but he's releasing this album. It's his second album of the year. He already released one of the best rap albums of the year, Goyard Ibn Said, and I already talked about that one quite a bit. But this isn't going to be like that, because the Goyard Ibn Said was this amazing meditation on the two different sides of who he is, and the part of him that's like a flossing rapper who wants to have money in the girls, and the other one who's this sort of scholar of sort of scholar of African history and American history and African American history. In that video, I called him a 60-year-old professor from Temple University. All right. So like this album right here, what we got here, this 2/5 album, it's aggro. It's sort of like he knew he was going to be getting more buzz from the last album because, and you may not know this, Apple Music or Kendrick Lamar selected The Old Guard Is Dead, the first track off that album, to be the intro to the Super Bowl performance. He was given the biggest stage literally in the entire world. This guy who maybe you haven't heard of, this 24 to 25-year-old conflicted Marxist from North Philadelphia, born and raised, right there. And all of a sudden he releases this album, which is not a continuation of that. I mean, it is. We'll get into it. But it's sort of kind of in that school of Kanye West of once they like you, make them unlike you. But, he says it right off the beginning, or he just said in the beginning of this album, no cracker is going to put a chain on him. And I think I'm one of those crackers because, he's working with Elucid on the last album. He's working with McKinley Dixon. He's sort of in that kind of zone where you think you know what kind of guy he's going to be. You know what kind of music he's going to make. And he releases this insanely cacophonous, very of the now sounding, very ragey, very, if you like Lil Uzi Vert, maybe you'd like this. And then that's not what you think. You don't think Billy Woods and Lil Uzi Vert, but if you do, then you're going to like this. And let me tell you, he failed. He failed to lose me as a fan. He failed to turn me off. He failed to get me to go, I like this last stuff, but this new thing, he's just doing too much of this I like money stuff. It doesn't make sense. He's supposed to be a Marxist. No, it failed. It failed because you listen to this album enough and you end up absolutely loving it. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who has had too much coffee. I have, but you know what? Get bumped if you don't like it. This is my coffee mug. You can buy it if you want. I actually lost the login to my merch, so I have to figure it out because they got to pay me. So I had so many framing devices for this, right? So we have the Jack Boys 2 one, which I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to do that. But also, there's kind of this despair because this album came out last month. Okay? If you like look up Ghais Guevara, I'm one of the first people who shows up. All right, so that's like an honor to me, but that's kind of weird. I didn't know he released a new album. I had no idea. So the funny thing is, I'm going to be on the upcoming Dissect sort of best of the year so far video, and we talk about the things that we like. And I say that Ghais Guevara is one of my favorite albums of the year. Right? I think it's one of the best rap albums of the year with some of the best songs of the year. And I didn't even know he released a new album. So I don't quite know how that's possible. I think it's because this is independent, and the last album was on Fat Possum, one of my favorite record labels, who contacts me a lot. So maybe, he doesn't have a publicist or whatever it is. People have been leaving comments on my videos saying that Ghais Guevara is calling me out and telling me to review this album, but I can't find where that is. So I don't know if that's actually happening. I don't know if it's on like a live stream. Listen, do you want to know how I don't use Twitter? I don't use Twitter the same ways that I don't drink. Like, I don't drink, but like I'll have a beer every once in a while, but I don't drink. I neither drink nor not drink. I neither use Twitter nor not use Twitter. I find it to be a mostly useless place that just gets people all riled up. So I'll use Instagram or whatever. So anyways, maybe he's calling me out on Twitter. I don't know. But anyways, maybe if he had a publicist, the publicist would have hooked me up. But who cares, right? It's just a month later. And you're sitting there, and you maybe had high expectations for Jack Boys 2. And listen, let's just listen to some raging music that is too loud and makes old people like me say, why is this music so loud? In a way, thinking about it, as this album as it is sort of a more kind of, when I say mainstream, I mean like less underground. It's a little bit less salmon jerky, as Open Mike Eagle would say. Check out my Open Mike Eagle review from 2 days ago. This is maybe sort of the Dam after Mr. Morale, the king of the majestic South, king of the dirty South. Whatever it is, the King of the South one from Denzel Curry after The Melt My Eyes. The idea of doing something kind of like super conscious, super hardworking, then something a little bit more fun. I apologize for the cicadas. We got a Jeepers Creepers situation going on over here. Really though, I think the easiest way to compare him is this whole idea of like Billy Woods meets Cameron Winter. He is so Billy Woods. He is so Billy Woods with half the life experience. Okay, 1 second. All right, listen. Listen. If you're with me, you're with me. If you're against me, that's okay too. But if you're with me, you probably got YouTube brain like I do. All right? I came up with a metaphor, and I think this is good. I need to say, first of all, if you haven't been able to tell by literally everything about the way I present myself and the way I look, I am a white guy, so I'm going to be commenting on black artists and black YouTubers. So feel free to discount me entirely, because I like the perspective to properly contextualize anything I'm talking about, okay? I'm a visitor. I'm a tourist, all right? That being said, if you watch a lot of FD Signifier, he will talk about how there's a sort of moral dilemma that he has, where he is a middle-class black guy, grew up middle class, grew up in a fairly stable household, was able to get a good education, and in some ways he's being put in this situation where he is the voice of the people, but he doesn't really represent, or is incapable of representing people who come from a more hard-scrabble upbringing. So that creates a kind of cognitive dissonance in his mind, because it's like, damn it, I don't want to speak for all these other people any more than someone rich can talk for someone in the lower class. You know what I mean? Like, it's a reasonable thing. So he's been trying, and succeeding, I think, to help smaller YouTubers, relatively smaller because he's got 1 million freaking subs, people like John Lewis, JAWN Lewis, and like Lil Bill. Lil Bill, who basically has the same level of insights, who basically has the same charisma, but just happens to come from a different socioeconomic upbringing. In a similar way, Billy Woods, he's had a fascinating life. His dad was a very important revolutionary, Zimbabwean revolutionary. He's lived all over the world. He's lived behind gates before, so like as much as he's able to talk about a lot of experiences, there is a certain remove that he might have from many people who make rap music. And I think that's what's so fascinating about this North Philadelphia born and raised Ghais Guevara, is he's maybe the Lil Bill to Billy Woods's FD Signifier. So I am uncomfortable making that point for 2 reasons. One, as previously mentioned, I'm whiter than this Apple mouse, okay? That's true. The other thing is, man, I think I nailed it. I think that's a really good way to think of it. All right? Okay. Now, this album. I found a meme while I was like combing through Ghais Guevara's social media trying to figure out when and where he called me out. I found a meme. Speaking of things that I'm uncomfortable talking about, remember when Robert Downey Jr. Went blackface for Tropic Thunder, and we all agreed to just be smart and just be like, we understand that this is satire and this is okay and this is not the same thing as, you know what I mean? Remember that? Remember that weird time where like the whole world actually showed some amount of media literacy? That movie cannot be made today because people are so willfully ignorant of understanding how media functions. What the fuck am I talking about? Let's get back. Okay, so he includes a meme. All right. So there's a part where the character is talking, where Robert Downey Jr.'s character is talking to Ben Stiller's character about why he did not get an Oscar for a movie in which he played someone who was used as the R word. Okay, meaning mentally underdeveloped. Right? Is that an offensive way to say it? I don't know. So he said, you went full R word, you never go full R word. The meme here is you went full Goyard, you never go full Goyard. So that's the idea, that this album, in the last album, he introduced this concept or explained this concept of Goyard Ibn Said. Ibn Said as being the freed, enslaved person who wrote poetry, and just watch my video on that because he's a fascinating character. Then Goyard is the $12,000 a bag brand, right? So he's this kind of combination of two things. So this album is maybe him going full Goyard, which makes sense that he might lose you if you think, oh, he's the next Billy Woods, because Billy Woods doesn't have any Goyard in him, I don't think. I don't know. Or if he does, it's so self-aware that it's kind of reduced. So that's what's interesting here. But still, you got the title. You got the title, The Other Two Fifths, or The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Trench Baby. So the other two fifths referring to, I assume, the fact that formerly enslaved, that enslaved Africans were considered to be 3/5 of a person in terms of voting rights. I don't know. You know what I mean? There's something so offensive when people use math to say absolutely horrible shit. Let me do the math. 3/5 of a person. Okay? Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Trench Baby. So I assume that's like his life in the trench. That's his kind of Goyard style, and a part-time trench baby. So we have the conflict. And maybe the last album was much more of the Ibn Said side, was much more of the Contra side, was much more of the underground rapper who talks about systemic injustice and talks about history. And then this new side right here, this is full Goyard. So let's just get right to it. The opening track and everything in it. I assume that is Fuck the World and everything in it. I assume Fuck the World is the beginning of that, featuring Teller Bank, $ Teller Banks. Just the beat here, man, Ghais Guevara is doing some far out beats. If you like rage beats, but you also want really, really underground, crazy internet madness, Ghais Guevara's your guy. It's epic sliding accordion sounds. It's almost like Old Guard is Dead, but just a lot more raw. Kind of trap, rage style, altered voice of Teller Banks. This chopped voice just saying, put no chain on me, put no chain on me. All right, there's this emotional pain in the way that he says it. So noisy and so aggro. And then we get this verse from Ghais. I began to think we were born with handcuffs, look, Jaidi, Ramona, even little cuz, look, bonds with n's that shed for blood for buzz. If they find you conscious, you get nurtured with love. I grew up a witness to genocidal attempts. Sorry I ain't quick to pop out to social events. This ain't joy as resistance. This is the joy of resistance. I'm not the guy who should be talking about this because I am whiter than my Apple mouse. It's about to rain, so the sound's going to get worse on this video, but I don't care. It's actually going to be good for this video because that's the style. That's the style that we're going with here, all right? Joy as resistance is a thing that's often talked about, that why music and culture is so important in the Black American society is that it is the importance, that it is a form of resistance to be joyful when one is so oppressed. And this is flipping that. This is the joy of resistance. He even shout out Billy Woods, that be the brethren. True freedom in admitting that it ain't going to get better. True freedom is in admitting it won't get better. Hey, I thought you said this was full Goyard. I thought you said this wasn't going to be filled with interesting things to say. How come I'm going to have to think about the freedom of admitting it's not going to get better? There's freedom in admitting it's not going to get better. There's freedom in understanding how terrible things are and how hopeless we are and how hopeless we are and how helpless we are. Don't you fucking dare put bars in the comments. That's not bars. Sometimes people say I say bars, man. I don't say bars. I say goofy ass cringe shit. I make analogies that only I can make, and probably nobody should. Someone said recently I would be more stately if I didn't laugh at my own jokes. Do you know what I say to that? I don't want to be stately. I want to be me. And then, oh my God, makes the whole thing explicit. Has a quote from James Baldwin. It seems to me that the artist's struggle for his integrity as a kind of metaphor must be considered as a metaphor for the struggle which is universal and daily of all human beings on the face of this terrifying globe to get to become human beings. The struggle of the artist is universal, so it's not just that when Chappell Roan says, I deserve to have privacy and I deserve to be treated like a human being, she's a rich millionaire artist. It's also that we all deserve that. When Ghais Guevara says it, when James Baldwin says it, it's for all human beings. They are struggling for us. Their struggle for autonomy and free will and dignity is actually for all of us. It's not your fault. It's not my fault that I write. He has to write. Ties in. If you've never watched the Miles Davis interview on 60 Minutes, it's awesome. He says, asks him about music. I have to write. I got music in my head. Like, it's the same basic idea. Like, he just can't get it out. World's best Miles Davis impersonation. Hey, who do you want doing a Miles Davis impersonation? This guy right here. Then we get to the song Joan. These kind of crappy drums with some hi-hat hits, descending synth. So many nice layers on this album. Like, these Middle Eastern scales. I don't know if it's because he goes by Ghais, but like there's a real Middle Eastern flair to his production. His high voice goes with this beat, these weird yelling sounds in the background. You want vengeance, you ain't earned it yet. They was schooling them with the rules, you was learning shit. Left the party because the bitches wasn't twerking yet. Spilled Bacardi on my Rick, she trying to flirt and shit. So like this whole contradiction of like he's just talking about his Rick Owens. He's talking about the same stuff that Travis Scott talks about while also talking about vengeance. And then there's a quote from SpongeBob. Okay, let's see my to-do list. This is from the episode from Season 2, Something Smells, which came out the same year that Ghais Guevara was born. Would you like to feel old? You're welcome. But anyways, it's interesting because that has been extended into a meme where he checks his list, his to-do list, and it's go to work, 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 go to work. And if you wanted to, you could do a remix where you mix together like the go to work, 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 go to work with this music. It could actually work. Trying to flip a check off the bool, trying to straight finesse off the bool, popping out and flex on the bool. Hey, would you like to see my internet history? This is what it says on Google. BOUL, Urban Dictionary. I did it. It's Philadelphia slang for a person. This great haunting vocalizing kind of gospel. There's a lot of gospel on this album. We'll get to that later. Kind of a bumping march at the end. I want you, Jesus. Then we get to FOMO. I fucking hate FOMO. I've hated FOMO since the first time I heard it. You know why? FOMO, fear of missing out, is just a tool that corporations are using to get you to kill brain cells and go into credit card debt. That's the purpose of FOMO. Go by Professor Sky's logo. Professor Sky's motto. Okay? It's yo goo. You only grow old once. You're going to be young for like 5 to 10 years maximum. Then you're going to be old for like 60, 70 fucking years. So what are you doing? Going into debt, getting dumbass tattoos, and hurting your brain. Just grow, man. Middle age is way better than youth. Youth sucks. Middle age is awesome. All right. Sorry. I'm obsessed with that. Cool kind of like it's funny because it's kind of like a beat the game with chains and whips style thing here. You know, ain't no more starving artist. Pardon me if I like to party. We were born to love this land. Them devils trying to make shit harder. I want to be a star because all my life I've been a target. So he's talking about the way that he's using this game. He's playing this game. The wind is blowing the camera. What is going on here? The light here is absolutely insane. The light here is insane. I love it. I love it. So, you know, it's like trying to beat the game. It's the same kind of question I was asking. Did Jay-Z beat the system or did he become the system? Is Ghais Guevara beating the system or is he succumbing to it by buying all the luxury goods and all that, right? It's a hard question. And that ambiguity, he's not going to answer the question for you. But he tells you, I want to be a star because all my life I've been a target. And then there's a sample from Avon Barksdale from The Wire. SpongeBob and The Wire. You mix those two things together, poof, you got Ghais Guevara, okay? That's not how the game is played. Remember when he yells at the referee in that episode? And the other guy, the happy guy, the smiley guy, what's that guy's name? The overweight guy who's the other gangster. They're having like a basketball match against each other. Von Barksdale yells at the ref. Now the sun's coming out. There's going to be a rainbow really soon here. What's great is that that's not how the game is played. Like, that's the question. Like, is he subverting things? Is he beating the game, or is he playing the game, or is he playing it by his own rules? And then it ends with this little quote of someone saying he's just happy to be in the game and he's an existentialist. So, like, that's the question, the game. And this goes back to, before you type it, this goes back to the fucking Uncle Sam. This goes back to Samuel Jackson at the Super Bowl that introduced 80 million people to Ghais Guevara's music, all right? This goes back to that game, the great American game. Is it possible to win the game if you play it by the rules as set up by the white supremacist superstructure? CIA PSYOP? Internet rap, man. This is just internet rap. This is some internet rap shit right here. All right? This bossa nova like beat, chopped voices. I got to stop swearing. It makes me seem less stately. Melismatic Arab songs in the background. This relentless rhyme scheme in the chorus. Work shit, but that horse shit gonna hurt you. No shit, that's a full clip. Gonna murk you. Surface through the worst pit. That's a turf war. Cause I'm rocking Marty. What you think I'm putting work for? You know, every once in a while he'll just kind of show off that he is actually able to write some pretty interesting rhymes here, like turf war, work for, hurt you, murk you, surface, worst pit, surface, worst pit, surface, worst pit, turf war, surface, worst pit, turf war, work for. Relentless. And even in the verse, he's got this kind of relentless style. Now the sun is fully on out here. What is going on with the nature and the earth? They was fancying all the exits of trenches and you was distant. Tell me how you reached the top before you touched the entrance. Then there's this chopped up 80s soul sample. I don't know what it is. It repeats the chorus so many times, but it's noisy and filled with effort. Then we get to okay. So Ghais Guevara is like literally 22 years younger than me. But I know there's some simpatico here. This joke, the title of this song is so funny to me. It is Easy E Tu Mama Tambien. So, of course, we have Easy E. And then we have reference to the 2001 and or 1999, I forget which one it is, movie made by Alfonso Cuarón, Oscar-winning Alfonso Cuarón, the Mexican director, with his movie starring Gael García Bernal and Cassian Andor himself, Diego Luna. This was an art house movie that I loved, it's actually about like the way that Catholicism in Mexico enforces kind of sexual kind of like sexual uptightness that can then be liberated by this Spanish woman. It's a fascinating movie, but it's called Y tu mama tambien, which means and your mother too. So it's like mixing together. So like just that mixing together of like these different styles and genres and the wordplay right there, that also makes me convinced that Ghais and I could we get along on some level. You know what I'm saying? It's almost stream of consciousness here. It starts off with a quote from my least favorite Wu-Tang song, Ice Cream. I just don't like that song. I don't like it when rappers sing about getting up in guts. I just don't like it. And I blame them. They're not the first, but they really popularized the getting up in gut rhyme stuff, you know? It's okay. It's mostly like a song about women and breaking up with a woman and menages and all that stuff. I do like the line, might crack a smile, shit ain't funny, Jimmy Fallon. It's funny. Speaking of laughing at your own jokes, I want to be just as stately as Jimmy Fallon. And then a verse about systemic racism. So mixing it all together. Then we get to Grifterlude, which has this faraway beat, sampled and chopped, talking about being like a soft reggae sample. And these questions here. Listen to these lyrics, everybody. Do you ever wish you could be smarter, like you said some stupid shit, and wish you thought harder? Yes. In French, that's called l'esprit d'escalier, which means the spirit of the staircase. That's where you think of something smart to say after you've left and you're going down the staircase. So yeah, I felt that. Shawty asked what my future looking like, what you trying to be. I told her I'm trying to be a martyr, and I'll be honest, in the moment I was spitting. Trump was diluting, there's a flaw in the system. It seems the rally and the toxic communism had me flirting with an issue that we now know is narcissism. So just time. What? So he was like, he's basically saying that like he's trying to be cool and flirty and say that he wants to be a martyr, but then realizing that he actually sort of meant that, and then realizing that all of this talk about being a martyr and being a communist is actually just like being narcissistic. That's deep. I swear I love my melanin. The fact my body's got lighter is just a coincidence, and I want to wear designer in the ghetto, but nothing, man. Them get really get really ghetto. I'm just saying my battle's over yonder, 1,000 miles beyond the slaughter. So just when you think like, all right, we're cool, everybody, we're good. I think I understand this album. Then we get the song "Need a Narcissist." So he takes the narcissism from the last theme and then brings it down here, talking about a woman who's probably a narcissist. Hey, old people, I'm sorry. This is really music destroy. You know, when I talked about Playboi Carti, I said that he was the next Public Enemy and the next Andre 3000, and everyone got mad at me. But then they heard my point, and they were still mad at me, but they heard my point. All right. The whole thing is Public Enemy started this thing of trying to destroy music with rap. And that's what a lot of this rage music is. And this is ragey, destroy music stuff. These bumping sounds. But then it modulates into like a sweeter mode, kind of modulates in inspirational mode, this buzzing, vibe-filled music about this woman, Nina, you cold. You already know I'm not a ride or die stunting with you. So, and then just what the... And then he samples Cameron Winter. Or as I call him, Cameron Winter. You can't do that. You can't sample like one of the best albums of last year in the middle of your rap project for this year. Well, he does, and he did. And he's quoting the song Nina and the Field of Cops, which I think is an ode to Nina Simone. It's a very kind of bizarre song. But the reason that I said he's like Billy Woods meets Cameron Winter, because do you know what Cameron Winter makes me feel? He makes me feel jealous and stupid. Like when I was Cameron Winter's age, I thought I was a musician of talent and vision and brilliance like Cameron Winter. The older I get, the more I realize my brilliance is here on the porch, sweating through my shirt, talking about Cameron Winter, you know? Like the youth and brilliance. That's why I compare them together. It's that Ghais Guevara and Cameron Winter, if you put them on a tour together, it would go perfect. If Ghais Guevara opened up for Ghais, there would be, even though the lived experience is so different. We have a bunch of kind of like, you know, children of the well-to-do New York hipster class, right? And then you have someone from North Philadelphia, born and raised, and the playground is where he spent most of his days, right? You kind of have those mixtures, and Lil Bill's even from Philadelphia. My whole thing works so well. Where was I? Right. So like, just the youth and brilliance. Like this is it. Like if you're old and you think the young people these days, they're just doing the ticking and the talking. They might be doing the ticking and the talking, but they're also making this amazing music. Also, if Ghais Guevara opened up for Billy Woods, it'd be totally perfect and would totally fit. And also, if he opened up for Travis Scott, it'd be totally good and totally perfect. No disrespect to, who was it that I saw open up for Travis Scott? Walked around with the flowers. You tell me in the comments. I forget. Next song is called Warrior Raver Poet Freestyle. Nice bumping bass sounds, high pitched up sound. Okay, so it has these high pitched up sounds, and then it has almost like the Hudson Mohawk Blood on the Leaves low style horns. Arby's We Got the Beef low style horns. So loud, so noisy, kind of like the wind behind me. North Philly bull in a china shop. I guess bull is where the bull expression comes from. This crazy laughing in the back, this crazy sample. Battle of Da 5 Spot featuring Yoko McThuggin, the only carryover from the last album. This great rapper, she's from Baltimore. This descending cool stand-up bass, and you think, okay, cool, here we go. Finally, thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Guevara, if I can call you that, because this whole album's just been filled with all these like really aggro kind of beats, and I just want this cool stand-up bass beat. I can hear you found the loop, you found the rhythm, you found it repeating, so I'm ready for you to rap on it. Get the beat out of here. He's gonna throw on some more crazy Middle Eastern rage stuff, and he vocally samples. I want to rock right now. I'm Rob Bass and I came to get down. I get stupid. I mean retarded. You know what I'm saying? He samples It Takes Two by DJ Easy and Rob Bass. DJ Easy Rock and Rob Bass. I've heard that song probably 10,000 times, and I forget the name. DJ Easy and Rob Bass. Is it Easy Rock and Rob Bass? I'm not internationally known, but I am known to rock the microphone. Anyways, that's an unexpected callback. A song that was written 20 years before he was born. 10 years before he was born. This woozy vibe, very strong verse from Yoko. Every tour date is my Gatsby party. So here, this is another way that he's like Billy Woods, another way that he's like Open Mike Eagle, another way. Like, I think there's a weird thing where underground rappers, like, because Europe is so much better to underground rappers than America, like, I think it's really messed up, man. It's just like jazz, actually. It's like, hey, do you want to be treated with respect and make money? There's another Miles. I've been watching a lot of Miles Davis interviews. This German interviewer asking him, you know, do you like it here in Germany? What's it like since the last time? I got no problem with you. I'll keep coming here as long as they keep giving me money to come here. You know? So, anyways, but it's got to be, if you're from if you're a bull in a china shop from North Philadelphia, it's got to be a trip, man. Going to like Amsterdam and Paris and London and, you know. Really kind of sweet beat here, synth yelling, these barks in the back, this languid sound. It's actually really kind of catchy, and it's just talking about his life. I showed up at the afters. I was sleepy as hell, Googling my stylist. Bitch, I did it myself. Banging what you claim, the fame you making. Saw you thirsting for the rain. So it's this whole story about, like, his life, but he's tired. Also, it's like that season of Atlanta, which I never finished. I actually stopped watching Atlanta at that season. My wife and I I need to get back to it. I'm sure the rest of it was good. You trying to act like you enjoy the silence? You Depeche Mode? What? Dude, you are 22 years younger than me, okay? Part of the benefit of growing older is I don't have to think about I don't hate Depeche Mode, but the amount that I heard that song, all I ever wanted, when you're in a dorm room in the 90s, and you know any girls at all, you're going to hear two songs. Enjoy the Silence by Depeche Mode and Literally Anything by Leonard Cohen. So anyways, it's fun to hear it though. Kind of a sad, and then he has this whole like strings and low bass bit, and then he lets the instrumental ride at the end because he knows how good it is. That's my 2-year-old and my 17-year-old. They are waving to me because I said this video would be 25 minutes long. You want to come out here? Oh, there's a deer? Oh, wait, there's a deer? All right, let's see if we can see the deer. Oh, there was a deer. I don't know. She keeps doing the walking thing. All right, I got to go back and do my video. Stately. Maniad. Okay, this is like a full Goyard style, like almost Playboy Cardi-ish, like the way there's a voice changer and there's like auto-tune, but then it's also still kind of the smart style because Maenads were these female followers of Dionysus, and the name actually means the raving ones, so it kind of ties into this general theme of debauchery and getting to sleep with a lot of women, presumably on tour. This song just bumps for gym usage, man. I listened to this at the gym yesterday. It was just going. There's a beat change with he's playing the toms really energetically, and then this kind of wild sample with these horns tuning up and these descending strings and this 80s soul singer in the back and this great guitar usage. I call out rappers all the time for not knowing how to use guitar because they use guitar like the way that parents in the 80s thought heavy metal was, you know, like just this is really good. Distorted Madness, the outro, and then we get to the final song, Ego Surfing, Soul Searching. This includes a sample from Reverend Christian Michael Hayter, one of the best underground albums of 2023. So he is sampling on this album Cameron Winter and Christian Michael Hayter, like some of the best music that's come out in the last couple years, and not stuff you expect to be sampled. Once I was ugly as a whore, because he's using the fact that Christian Michael Hayter has this just insane, you know, gospel, old-time religion feel, And Ghais Guevara is using it here, using this haunting voice behind and this bumping bass sound. Where I'm from, I had nothing. Spent my adolescence rushing. I did damage to my cousins. I did damage to my brothers. I did damage to them girls. I did damage to my mother. But if we talk in self-destruction, well then God, I wasn't clutching. But shit, I'm only 25. It's always something. Look, I've been with the scholars. I've been with the tweakers. You know? I've been with the scholars. I've been with the tweakers. He's talking about his life. He's talking about his experiences over this insane beat. There's some like throat singing on here. And then what does he bring in? What does he bring in? Ooh. He brings in the It Takes Two beat from DJ Easy Rock and Rob Bass. I get stupid. I mean retarded. You know? Damn it, I used the R word. I'm sorry. I'm using it contextually from a song, but that doesn't make it okay. I apologize. Nice verse here from Pharaoh that ends with, F-A-R-O, that ends with a sample from 12 Angry Men. That's the way they are by nature. You know what I mean. Violent. So, you know, the sort of the general racist stereotypes, I suppose. And then a crazy verse from Wahid. So the shade I seek for in the field where the whips may crash next to my masters. So ironic that I want it. I'm a masochist or maybe a pacifist. Neither. Just need my family eaten so I shall leave blood on the leaves. For a Billy, spirituals hang from money trees, and you may shout treason, stake through my heart sharp, Brutus murked Caesar. So what that make y'all? I'm just a mere hypocrite in appearance, man. Don't you want a ball? No matter the optics, as long as the pocket's long, don't lie to me either. You on speaker, through the song, amplify my wrongs. I'm the cornerstone selling psalms off the arms of my plus a fifth of licks, lips twisting from its sizzle, strange fruit, taste bitter. I'm going to admit two things. Thing number one, I don't know who Wahid is. So I apologize. Sometimes I say I don't know people, and I've reviewed their music before. Like I've heard them before. Like I said on the Clips thing, that I don't really know The Dream, even though I've heard him on a ton of things. I don't really know who Wahid is. But the second thing is, I think this is the best verse on the album. You know? I mean, the Ghais is like setting the template. But like this verse is able to illustrate the theme of the title and the deeper themes of the album in a way that I think Ghais is going full Goyard. So it's almost like he has Wahid in here to say this verse to tie it together with themes of enslavement and the masochism of wanting to be near white people, near the former masters, and just about how this is important because this is how he's going to make money, and it leaves blood on the leaves like Billy, and then Brutus murking Caesar. It's just an amazing verse. It's just an amazing verse. And then it ends with another little bit from Ghais Guevara. So there you go. There's my review. I hope you liked it. I hope you listened to it. I want to be, like I try to catalog. Here, let's see if I get more birds out here. I try to catalog my chickadee. I try to catalog, like great artists who are doing great stuff as much as I possibly can. And I think Ghais Guevara is a really great artist. And much like, McKinley Dixon, there's hope for underground rap music that is smart and relevant. And I'm just going to shut up. All right. Do you want me to talk about the Pusha T diss by Travis Scott? It is so fucking weak. It's just so bad. There you go. I talked about beef. There's the camera.